Now stop what you're doing, put down that iPad, turn off that Netflix, quit commenting on YouTube for fuck's sake, because it is time. Oh, I guess it's just time to give you another reason to comment on YouTube. Anyway, it's time once again for another brand new world-class famous Jeff's Original Recipe Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select, and I am Jeff.
I'm Amanda.
And yeah,
I don't have a famous recipe.
I wish I could just do that for a living. I just do the first part and then just
we're like, all right, thanks everyone.
Like,
see you next week.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, now let's talk about boring shit for 2 hours. All right. No, it's time for the podcast. And you know what? This first part, before we get started in the gaming news, of which we have a very strange mix-up, and I always like to put this out here that this week we're recording this on Wednesday because there's a limit to the number of things I can record in a single day.
Yeah.
On a Rage Select day. So if things come out after Wednesday, we'll get to them next week. Mm-hmm. We'll get back to them next week. But yeah, last week I didn't do shit. I did very, very little last week.
In like a good way, like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't do anything.
No, I mean it was mostly just like I just like worked and then worked and then worked and then worked and then worked. The only thing that I did do, and it's just I really hate, like I always like to try to bring something up here at the beginning to make a fanciful thumbnail for my podcast,
yes.
right?
Uh-huh. Let's name a bunch of celebrities, movies, TV show, and comic books. That way you can put it as the thumbnail.
Boobs. Excellent. I'm done. My work here is done.
Good job, everybody.
All right, everybody. That's take 5. Okay, so last week or the week before last, when SDCC was going on, they had a bunch of trailers. Mm-hmm. One of those trailers was Ready Player One. And
oh, that's right. You read it.
Mm-hmm, I watched it, and then I just read it.
Yeah.
Because it's okay. I'm not saying this like the content, but it's like writing style. It's like kind of a book for babies. Like it's not. I read just constantly. Like I'm tearing.
Yeah.
Like I've stopped looking at Facebook. And if you want a pro tip, ladies and gentlemen, go get the Kindle app and just start buying $4 trash paperbacks and read those instead of Facebook on your phone when you have 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I do. So I read it from beginning
books
to end.
of content and of great quality. I can't name any of them.
You named them all to me last week. They're all horror books.
Horror books can be good books.
That's true. But no, I did read all the way through Ready Player One, and so
10 out of 10 would read again.
Here's the thing.
Put in another quarter and play it one more time.
Here's what I got. All right. I feel like I know a lot of people who are like, 10 out of 10, it was great. Or no, actually, that's not true. I don't know those people. I have seen on the internet 10 out of 10.
I know those people.
Would read again.
Well.
Okay. Most of the people that I know are 0 out of 10, pretty much garbage. Fuck your mother.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the exact opposite.
And when I say that, I mean Jason Murphy. Mostly.
Oh, okay. He didn't like it?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
No.
I haven't read it. I'm not like trying to defend it. I just thought it was interesting.
I am 5 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah. Here's the thing. By itself, like if you were to take, I feel like the thing that really irritates most people is a phenomena that I've never seen in any other book before, but I have seen people do in real life, where the author seems to be taking a lot of opportunities. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know, Ready Player One, and if you don't want to hear this because the movie's not out yet, whatever. I'm going to be very vague about this, but basically it takes place in a future where most people are in virtual reality, and there is most people kind of live their lives, do their jobs, go to school. Their entire world they kind of spend on this virtual reality.
Like what Second Life was.
Yes, except imagine if Second Life was like
good,
super great, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was all VR and you could touch stuff, and like they had the haptic feedbacks in the gloves, so you can actually feel stuff when you touch it and stuff. So you got this kid. Okay, he's poor. Big surprise there.
Yeah.
The world is kind of in a shitty shape, and so that's why most people spend their time in this VR. The VR was created by this guy that had a real mat-on for the 80s. So most of the pop culture in the world is from the 80s. And then there's also this thing where there, without going into specifics, where there ends up being like a competition where everybody is in this universe that they have looking for
a certain thing,
right? And so it ends up being one of those, right? It's a quest. any number of different things.
Right.
It's Harry Potter looking for a thing. It's whatever.
The search for a holy grail.
Right. So, but the guy who started this search was super, super into the 80s, just like all day long. And he left these cryptic clues that have their answers in 80s pop culture. So the part of that works really, really well is that they give you the clues and then the characters spend time trying to figure out the clues. But because it's a pop culture segment that we know, I was trying to figure out the clue too. I was like, what is it? Is it talking about this? But because it's literally all music, movies, video games, everything like kind of from the 80s and early 90s. It's hard. So then when they tell you, there's that, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And that's cool. The problem is that he gets into this thing where he wants to list things. He wants to list the favorite bands of this guy that made this universe. Or he wants to go into detail about how this world is based on Zork, right? And so it gets a little bit tedious after the first few pages of just reference after reference after reference after reference, which kind of sucks because the thing is that I feel like if you sprinkle that in a little bit more liberally, and because there is this giant kind of competition for this giant prize in a world with scarce resources, you can see why people all get really invested in the 80s because being immersed in that culture is going to help you find the thing, right? So 80s culture becomes vogue in this far-flung year. So the story boiled down is not really all that complicated. The main character's kind of a shit, and the author really does him no favors. There's some points in like in Harry Potter where Harry Potter just kind of turns into a whiny little shitbag, and you're just like, God damn it, Harry Potter, fucking shut up. Or like if you ever read Scott Pilgrim the comic book, and you're just like, God damn it, Scott, get a job.
Scott Pilgrim is a horrible person, and that's kind of the point of that book. Anyone who says otherwise is reading that with rose-colored glasses on.
The main character in Ready Player One is also kind of a wang. He's a little bit of a wang. He's got some redeeming qualities, but he's kind of self-righteous. He kind of doesn't listen to anybody. He's like super obsessed with this thing. And there's also people pointed out that there's a bit of an anti-technology streak about how like, we're all immersed in this, but the real world is more important. And I'm like, I don't know, man. You talked about what was going on in the real world. It didn't sound very important. But anyway, so I think that it was good. John last week was saying the same thing. I agree with John 100% on his, and I agree that I think that it would make an immensely better movie than a book because a movie's not going to spend 10 minutes rattling off the names of, Def Leppard albums at you and talking about how important they were, blah, 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 whatever. They're going to play Def Leppard in the background while the character is doing a thing, right?
As somebody who hasn't read it and is angry by the trailer and angered by everyone telling me that I should read it and it was the greatest book of our fucking generation and shit.
That it is.
So the opposite of what you experienced is that my Facebook has been swarmed with people like, oh, this is the third time I've read the book. I'm so excited. I want to read it one more time before the movie comes out, and they love it, and it's like their fucking Bible.
Really?
Yeah, I have so many friends on my Facebook feed. Like, there aren't. I didn't know Jason didn't like it because I have so many people on my feed that do that. I thought it was weird that he didn't. But my thing is more that it looks like reference the book. And it annoys me because it's cheap to do. To be like, hey, everyone, did I mention Indiana Jones to you? I understand that my humor and a lot of people's humor, especially on the internet, is based around references. There's a certain point where if I took out all the references, would there still be a good story in there? I don't know for Ready Player One because literally if I go, hey, you really liked Ready Player One, why'd you like it? And everyone goes, so he like drives the DeLorean and then when he leaves the DeLorean and then he goes to and he's playing like Van Halen and then this and it's like that's not a plot, that's a reference.
No. So I will tell you, and again, people who haven't read the book who want to be completely shocked in the movie, this is a tiny, tiny detail, and I don't even know if it's going to be put in there, but like, there's a point in the book where he's like, I drove my DeLorean there. It was a DeLorean that I converted to have KITT in it with the flashing red thing on the front.
You know that's real, though, right?
Matter transference thing from Buckaroo Banzai, and then I also put a bunch of Ghostbusters logos on the side of it, and I'm just like...
No. But you know that's a real thing, right? You know the author who wrote that also wrote the screenplay for Fanboys.
Yeah.
The we're gonna break into George Lucas Skywalker Ranch to steal
episode
1 before it comes out.
Yeah.
And he used that money to make that car.
It's abomination. You should buy a DeLorean.
I've been next to him in traffic, by the way. He lives in Austin.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, hey, that's a DeLorean. There's a bunch of DeLoreans around town, actually. Like, you'll see them every once in a while. And I was like, hey, there's a DeLorean. And then I was at a red light next to him, and he's literally, like, flailing his arms, rocking out. And I was like, that's weird. And then I look and I saw Ghostbuster stickers on the side, and I was like, that's weird, too. I was like, God, this seems like somebody that would be a fan of... like nerdy shit.
Yeah.
Like, all the podcasts and websites I've worked for, I'm like, I feel like I already know you, sir. And then later I told John about it, and he's like, that's the guy that wrote Fanboys. And I was like, what?
Yeah. So like what I said about it as, look, it's a pretty bog standard adventure story. Mm-hmm. That's fine. It's got a beginning, a middle, end, like an adventure story. That's fine. It follows your normal storytelling trope, exposition, inciting incident, climax, denouement.
Do you think if the references weren't set so perfectly for a very specific age group that it wouldn't be as popular?
See, I don't. It's weird.
Do you think if it wasn't 80s, basically, that if it was something like, oh, it's all 60s, and he really loved Jim Morrison?
Well, so here's the problem: is that the 80s stuff is actually one of the more, what I thought was one of the more fun parts of the book, because it gave me a framework for the mystery of the story to try to figure it out myself. Right.
Right.
So I don't think it's weird, because I don't think that I would have had as much fun as I did with the book
if you weren't somebody that grew up in the 80s.
If I didn't know that stuff, and I wasn't trying to kind of like get ahead of the story by figuring it out for myself.
Yeah.
And they are figure outable, but so it's weird. I think that I honestly feel like it's just like you there's a lot of the stuff that they list off that has nothing to do with the main story, and I probably would have taken some of that out. I wish that it had a little bit. I wish that the main character had a little bit more to them, right? And it's kind of a coming of age story, except not really, except kind of, except not really. So I don't know. It's like the bones are actually pretty good, and as like a futurist story about a kind of semi-dystopian world where everybody's playing video games instead of doing anything because the world sucks so hard. That's interesting. That deserves a look, and it's an interesting concept that actually is closer to our daily lives than it ever has been in the past.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to have a story set in that world. It's just,
does it make you want to watch the movie? Like, maybe not like opening night, I want to go see that movie, but like it pops up on Netflix, you go, you know what, I read the book, I want to see how it turns out.
I think like Scott Pilgrim, I think it would make a better movie than a book. Because you
bite your tongue, sir, because both of them are equally good. I loved both.
I see. The thing is that if I had read Scott Pilgrim when it was coming out, and if I had been 17, it would have been fine. But reading Scott Pilgrim in my like early 30s, I'm just like, God, fuck this kid so much.
I think I was like
fuck him.
21 when I read Scott Pilgrim, and like 22 when the movie came out, or something like that.
I mean, I watched the movie and then like years later went back and read it. But anyway, I don't know. I think that it's worth reading. I think the problem right now is that it's still like something like $12 on Kindle. Like it's not cheap.
Yeah.
I do want to see the movie because, like I said, like I was saying before, I feel like throwing all that stuff into the background, like loading up the background of a shot with whatever they can get the license rights to, kind of like top 10 from Alan Moore, would be fun, right? Because you could look at the background and be like, oh shit, it's Deadpool. Oh shit, it's fucking you know, the Grimlock, right? Like, depending on how many things they can get access to for that movie.
Yeah. Now, last question about it. I hear, so Spielberg's directing it.
Uh-huh.
And I hear that the book had a shit ton of Spielberg references.
Yes.
But Steven Spielberg has said he's pulling all references to his stuff. Would that affect? One, that could totally be him like lying. Two, do you think that would affect the story or how the movie plays in any way? Because a lot of people were very like upset at that news.
I'm trying to think. I
would guess like E.T. I'm trying to think of like an 80s Spielberg movie that'd be fun that would be referenced.
I don't think. Let me look up his filmography back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I've got Steven Spielberg filmography up, probably from last week when I was talking about this. Let's see. Okay, probably not Duel. Let's see. Something Evil, Sugarland Express, Jaws, Close Encounters, Want to Hold Your Hand, 1941, Blues Brothers, Used Cars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Poltergeist, Twilight Zone, the movie, Gremlins.
Blues Brothers, the thing that he was in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is just as actor. Yeah, small part. Let's see. Let's stick to director. Yeah. So Gremlins. No, not Gremlins. That was, what's his face? Twilight Zone, the movie, Temple of Doom.
Landis? John Landis? That's going to bother me.
No, it's Chris Columbus. No, Joe Dante.
Wow, we were both off.
Yep. The Color Purple.
Yeah, is there a lot of colored purple in?
No. I don't know if he's not doing stuff he was producer on, too, because he was executive producer on a lot of stuff from the 80s.
Yeah.
Goonies, American Tail, Money Pit.
Maybe that.
Batteries Not Included.
All I know is that he said that he pulled references to his work. I think because he thought it was like inappropriate or something, but
the only thing I could see would be Indiana Jones, but that's not even like a thing. That's not like I don't think any of the main plot points would have to be yanked.
Yeah, it would be like if he pulled the DeLorean, it might affect
the main thing. Matt Frank and I were alluding to this, and I'm not going to go into specifics because it is a spoiler for the end of the movie, but the main thing is that there's some property that factors into that story that are owned by companies that I cannot imagine are going to be willing to even consider licensing the rights even to anybody in America.
I mean, because some of the references have to be important because the references are part of the mystery, right? So
all that stuff, I believe, is stuff that can be got.
Okay.
Because a lot of that stuff is old, deep 80s Americana, and a lot of that stuff nobody really gives a shit about it, so they can buy the rights or they can at least license the rights for a song. They can go, I give you $10,000. Oh, okay, fine. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's an okay read.
Yeah.
I've read better. I've read worse.
If you read it and liked it, or read it and didn't like it, comment, because I want to know. Because I'm not going to read it, but it would change my opinion on whether or not I watch the movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm real reluctant right now.
I think that they'll end up cleaning up the movie. I think that Spielberg will end up tightening that up.
Spielberg. I'm not
into a better story.
He's not infallible, but I trust him enough that maybe he can do something good with it.
Yeah. All right, well, I tell you what, let's jump from there into the news because we do have a lot of it.
Do we have more singing from you? Because, the voice of an angel.
Ooh la la, mwah, yeah.
Delicious.
Bella, kissy face. No, first up, we have some trailers. First trailer this week is kind of an extended cut trailer of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which is coming out pretty soon. This is the next game from Ninja Theory, the guys who did Enslaved and DMC and a few other things. This is going to be a $30 kind of like middleware title. And the big kind of thing with this is that it has these kind of like Nordic
runes
overtones to it, but the big crux of this is apparently the heroine, the main character, is mentally ill. And so there's a question, because it's got a lot of kind of like weird demons and magic and stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I've seen seems to indicate that there's going to be a question of, is this stuff for real, or is this like a metaphor for battle? Are you actually battling demons, or are you battling the mental illness inside?
That kind of makes sense from the people who made Enslaved.
Yeah. In fact, in this one, at first you have to find these runes, which actually seems like a really tedious process because you just have to find like the place in the world where the rune that you're looking at is. And it has a kind of a system of kind of hot and cold to let you do it. But after that, she opens this door, and the game immediately kind of, and there's a small altar, and when she touches the altar, the game kind of transfers into this kind of inferno blaze with these, There's a lot of like I don't have the audio up for this. But there's a lot of like these ashen figures. There's a lot of screaming and yelling, and it just seems very, very intense.
Yeah. Hellish.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that we've got. I think this is coming out in like 2 weeks. No, it's next week. It's,
really?
It'll be like.
I'm super interested in it.
Next week from where we are now. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Did you just have a conversation with yourself?
Yeah, I just had to remember in my brain. Like it'll be coming out 2 days from when this podcast comes out. So I don't know if you guys have forgotten about this. Like they announced this an ultra long time ago, and they've been sprinkling little trailers out here or there. The combat they show off very briefly seems to have okay. I didn't make this game's combat, but they were like, you do a lot of dodging and a lot of parrying, and like the way that it seems to kind of be this one-on-one fight system kind of reminds me of a thing. It rhymes with Mark Bowles.
I love Mark Bowles. It's my favorite singer.
Mark Bowles is a really good game, you guys. Mark Bowles 2 was not very good, but you know. But I don't know. It looks really nice, and like they've in a lot of the other press stuff for this, they've shown that they have this actress. They did like full facial motion capture for everything. So just like Enslaved or you know DMC, whether you like DMC or not, and I'm not going to go back down that road again.
I liked it.
I did too. Whatever. I feel like Ninja Theory has had a lot of Ninja Theory. Yeah, has had a lot of good. They've done good kind of like facial capture. Like I thought all of the monkey stuff, all the Andy Serkis stuff and Enslaved was just really nice looking, top notch.
Based on just knowing the 2 games that they've done, I'm down for this one for sure.
Have you ever played one of the? I think the first game that I played from them was a PS3 launch game called that's Heavenly Sword. This is their first game.
Heavenly Sword, was that the one that they kept saying was like the chick God of War?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Where she had like all that hair.
Yeah, it was like, and
also had Andy Serkis in it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And the reason why is because I went to GameStop and my brother and I were like talking to the guy at GameStop about pre-ordering it, and he creeped me out because he was literally like, "Don't you ever just wish that girls would look like this?" And we were like, ugh. We were like, never mind, man. We don't want to be here. And
look like what? Scantily clad with hair?
It was like this whole thing about his like love of redheads and shit. And it was like, I don't know if I want to play this game. Like it instantly connected as, oh, this is a game for like dudes to jerk off to.
Yeah.
And not, this is like a good game.
This is the character that Andy Serkis plays, is the bad guy.
That is a great steal shot of him.
Yeah. It's
well, the imagery is beautiful for it.
I see. The main issue that I had with it was that it was only about 2 or 3 hours long. Like it was not long. It was a full $60, and it was one of those things where, like in the early days of the PS3, you were just trying to get your hands on anything because everything kind of sucked for about a year there. It was a dark time in my life where I shelled out like the $600 for the launch PS3, and there wasn't jack shit, and I didn't have an HD TV. I was like, fuck! But anyway, go take a look, and I don't know. I think it looks good.
I'm hyped for it.
Speaking of things that everybody is hyped for.
I'm hyped for it!
Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is coming out in not too terribly long, before the end of the year. And we have a very musical trailer.
I love it.
Starring a rabbit with a big old bubble butt with the phonograph in it.
Yeah. You don't have a phonograph in your bubble butt?
No.
Wow. I don't understand. Are the rabbits the bad guys and also partnering up with them?
Yes. They're both the bad guys and the good guys.
I'm in. I love it. I love the rabbits. I love...
You know, I really was not very sure about this particular project, but like the more I see of it, it looks like it's got some like the animation and just kind of the attitude on a lot of the characters in the world is just real charming. Like, I don't know, Rabbid Peach seems pretty cool.
Sassy bitch.
Did you remember from E3? Her jumping up in the air and then taking a bunch of selfies before like hitting the ground or whatever.
I don't. I think I missed the E3 stuff for this actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. It's looking pretty good. I gotta ask you though. You watched the trailer, and I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
I could not make out about 90% of the words to the song that the guy was singing.
No, I just heard a few things, including "Your princess is in another castle."
Yep.
And then I would lose it again.
But the rest of it, I'm just like, I swear to God, he's speaking English, but I cannot.
Yeah.
For the life of me.
Rabbids were like Minions, but like funner.
Yeah. How so? What makes Rabbids better than Minions?
Because I don't know, they're just more adorable, and just annoy me less.
I like the Minions. I just don't like how it's one of those cases. Like, I actually liked the Minions movie quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, for me, it's one of those things where you could see a board meeting where they're like, that new Minions movie did 10% better than expected. And some guy's like, put them on everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I don't know why they let Gary Oldman in on that meeting, but
yeah.
Everyone.
Gary Oldman goes to a lot of board meetings. That's
probably true.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm maybe not hyped, but because I don't have a Switch, but I would play the fuck out of that game.
Okay.
I can't wait for the cosplayers that dress like Rabbids, just like Super Mario characters.
I think that the Luigi Rabbid
with his sideways hat in it.
He's just got like a backwards green hat and then like a green shirt that just goes all the way down to the ground, and that's it.
It's adorable.
Like, it's just the worst. It's
so
like
cute.
It's like the thing. It's like they made a costume for you when it's Halloween and you forgot to do anything. You're like, I got a big green shirt. I can be that rabbit, I guess. All right. Well, that's some good Nintendo / Ubisoft news. How about some bad Nintendo? Well, not bad. Okay. All right. Let's back it up.
Is this biased Nintendo news, Jeff?
Nintendo has done us all a favor and announced, and I find this completely and totally grotesque, and just gross, gross. They've announced when the pre-orders for the SNES Classic will go on sale. I figured this is probably in response to the whole Walmart debacle that we had last week, where Walmart put their SNES Classics on pre-order. A whole bunch of people shoved money in and sold them out in like an hour. And then Walmart had to basically refund all their money and say, yeah, somebody hit the switch too early on the allow pre-orders button on their website.
Jesus.
But
I imagine one guy's like, why are we getting so much money? What's happening? What happened?
Yeah. Apparently, pre-orders will be going up in late August. So keep your Google alerts primed.
My birthday's early September. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay.
So anyone out there want to buy Amanda a little Super Nintendo action? You know?
I just... it makes me very angry.
Yeah.
Because this article just doubled down their whole like, well, we're only going to be producing it through the end of the year. There'll be plenty. Don't worry about it. And it's like, how the fuck am I not going to worry about it? You've done this too many times for me to take you at your word.
Fool me
Nintendo.
once, shame on you.
I tell you right now, if they do it, if I can get one, if they don't sell out in an hour everywhere and then they're gone forever, then I'll come back on this podcast and be like, good on you, Nintendo. I was wrong. I judged you harshly, and you did it. But, you know, you want a Switch. That's, you know. But you can buy a 2DS XL.
Yay.
Huzzah. Come on. Yay.
Yay.
Anyway, let's move on from something that I'm upset about to a thing that other people are upset about, and then we'll compare the two and decide who
gets to be more upset.
Cool. And the answer is me. I get to be more upset about the stupid NES thing.
Because it's my podcast. You start your own podcast, and then you can be upset.
You can be upset about whatever you want to on your own podcast. It doesn't cost you anything. You just go to fucking, what that website everybody uses with the orange play buttons. All my brain will say is audible.com, but that's not right. It's not audible.com.
What you're talking about.
What's the SoundCloud? Yeah, go to SoundCloud, upload your bullshit, put it on there.
Yeah. Jeff had two options. Go to therapy or start a podcast.
What makes you think that I didn't go to therapy and that the person told me to start a podcast to get it all out of my...
There's no way this is you post-therapy, Jeff.
That's true. That's very, very, very true. So PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is everybody loves it. It's the breakout hit of this year. Brand new thing. I'm sure it's going to be copied forever and ever over the next couple years. So PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, everybody already knows what that is. You know what that is, right?
I think so. Is that the one where you like drop in the middle of like a battle zone and fight the fuck out of each other?
Yep, it's like 100 people, and whoever's left at the end wins. And it's got very,
and then like it like shrinks the area that you can be in, so that you're forced to battle each other.
Yeah. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is $30, and it is an early access game.
Right.
So this week, they announced / started doing an update where they're putting in a loot box system. Now, I'm not in any way against, say, Overwatch's loot box system, right? You get loot boxes, you open loot boxes, whatever. You get a duplicate, you get credits, you buy the thing that you really want with credits, whatever.
I mean, they give you shit credits for duplicates, but sure.
Absolutely true.
Like, it's super rare, but you already have it, so here's 5
Yeah, here's
coins.
$5.
Yeah, fuck.
So this is one of them, their Steam-based loot systems where you get a loot box and then you pay $2.50 to get a key to open that loot box and see what is randomly inside of it.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah. Now, so the defense of this is that it's all cosmetic. Everything inside of the loot boxes is cosmetic.
Oh, so if you don't give a shit about cosmetic stuff, then just don't pay.
Right. Also, given that it's on Steam, I feel like there's a very high possibility that you're going to see eventually a Steam marketplace thing where people sell common items on Steam Marketplace, and then you can just buy them directly from people.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately then kind of opens the whole game up to the problem they have with the Counter-Strike Lotto like loot skin things that was a big problem like 8 months ago, where you essentially take one of your items and you put it up into a pool of items as your buy-in, and then like they do a random drawing and one person gets all that stuff, or you'll bet it on a match, and then if you win, then you get more loot back in return.
Yeah.
Which ended up being abused by some people. Anyway, the community is not happy about this.
Yeah.
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds community is not happy about this. I actually read a Reddit thread that I thought was going to be kind of a bunch of screamy, complainy garbage, but somebody pointed out, like, hey, we'd all be fine if you just did this Overwatch style, right? Like, if you want to make money, if you want to make more money and you want to do it with cosmetic items, just give us the occasional free chest and then make it so that we can just straight up buy the things that we want instead of buying a chance to get the things that we want.
Yeah.
Kind of like, like Mass Effect 3 or even like what Andromeda's multiplayer does that. EA really loves that shit where you can buy the loot boxes with credit, and then they're just like, this one has a guaranteed rare item in it, but if you're looking for like a set of things, then you end up buying them. So a lot of people think this is really unethical. For one, because the guy said that he wasn't going to do any in-game microtransactions before the game was in full release because it's still in early access. And I could certainly understand the ethical concern of you had us pay to play the beta version of your game, and now you're monetizing the beta version of your game.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if I was the guy that was making this, god damn, that's a lot of money to just be like not cashing in on. Like, this is the fucking
right, but they were giving him options for what they would prefer to give. Like, they didn't say we don't want to give you money.
Sure.
They said this isn't the way we want to give you money.
Yeah.
That's the difference that is important to recognize.
Yeah. I don't know. This is such a hard question for me because at the end of the day, it comes down to cosmetics, and I'm not fucking paying for cosmetics. I'm not buying horse armor. I've never purchased with real money anything out of Overwatch. I gave them my $60, and I'm just more than happy to take what comes in the crates that come my way.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, I'll probably just buy Blizzard shirts.
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Or like toys or
Right.
real life stuff. Physical things you can touch.
Yeah. On the other hand, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has become one of those new games where like people just all they play is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And They play it all the goddamn livelong days. So,
well, it's early, right? It's beta, so maybe he'll change it. That's hopeful.
Well, he actually
Let's stay positive.
released a statement that was like, "Hey, this was messaged wrong, but it's happening. So like, I've heard what you had to say, and this is going to happen." So I don't know. Part of me is like, I definitely understand why people are upset. Another part of me goes, just shut up and enjoy the game. Like, go play the game instead of complaining about it on Reddit because there's a game there. And
I mean, if it's a beta, aren't they supposed to complain about it? Like, aren't you supposed to be telling them what they can or cannot fix?
Sort of. I don't know. I feel like that gets into a larger question of something that I have a real hard time with about video games, about like how much people feel, how much control an audience should have over the development direction of a game.
But if they shouldn't have that control, then the creator shouldn't have given them the product early. Why are you giving them the beta then?
Well, see, that's interesting because it comes down to a really weird question, right? Like, if you give somebody the beta for a thing and you ask for their feedback, and it turns out that a large section of the audience doesn't like a thing out of the beta, are you then obligated to change that?
You're not, but you are asking them to give you their opinion. So you can't get mad when they do that.
Oh, I don't think he's gotten mad. I think it's just a question. I don't know. It's so wrapped up in so many different layers of like early access, player versus audience, like monetizing a game that costs money already.
I think there's nothing wrong with the audience verbalizing a concern or something that they don't like about a beta game.
Sure.
Especially a beta game that they paid for.
Yeah.
But I do see an issue if they feel entitled to the switch happening.
Okay.
Like, if they're like, oh, no, it has to happen this way, they don't get to decide. If it's not something that's breaking the game or ripping them off in a way where it's like, you pay and then you can't play the game because I got your money now.
Right.
If it's something, it's just some people are willing to pay for it. A lot of people don't like it. That's more just his option than...
It's also kind of crazy because this is a game where, like, this guy put out the beta for it, and it's, like, the most popular... It's this year's, like, Overwatch or, like, DayZ or, like, Rust or something, right? It's a huge thing, and I don't even know if... I mean, it was just, like, this guy who took this Arma mod and made it into a standalone game, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it... goes. Maybe he'll have a change of heart, just like the villains in the Persona series when the people go in and change their hearts to a different thing. Speaking of the Persona series, we got some news about
how excited were you to make that segue? Pretty excited.
Pretty excited. Pretty
the eyes of a child about to open a Christmas present.
It's not every day that you get the perfect segue set up. Only 2 steps away. So we got some new Persona projects coming out. Number one is, just like with the previous Persona games, they are making a Persona 5 anime, which will be coming out in spring of 2018, I believe, in Japan.
Have you watched the other animes?
I started watching Persona 4 anime, and then I realized that I didn't want to watch it because I've already played that game, and it was 60 hours long, and I know what's going to happen.
No.
So,
so are you going to watch this one?
I'm interested in this one just because this trailer has like Persona 5 had a lot of like super style in it, right? Like this very kind of black and red like structure, these really heavy lines on everything, and the trailer mimics that same art style. So it
kind of reminds me of an exploitation film for some reason.
No, I can see that. The kind of like weird, like kind of high saturation, high luminescence as well.
Yeah, the music too really like lends to it.
Yeah.
It's just,
I don't know if at all. It's going to be interesting to see if it looks like this or how it looks. I might. It just kind of depends. The thing is that I feel like we are still a long way away. Like the earliest I would expect to see this in America would be like late next year. So
surely it wouldn't get fan dubbed and brought over.
Oh, fan subbed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that. God only knows that wouldn't be the first time.
And it won't be the last.
But what did you think about this?
I mean, it looks cool. It looks like something that like maybe John would watch and I'd be like in the background kind of watching. But I mean, the art style, like you were saying, it's really beautiful or like intriguing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess because I have no emotional attachment to Persona or Persona 5 or 4 or 3 or 2.
You just say the Persona series. Oh, but that first one, watch out, boy.
Yeah, I'd never played the games. I've never really had any connection to it. So it does, like, automatically I'm like, not for me.
Okay. Well, this isn't the only Persona announcement. Maybe the thing for you is Persona 3 Dancing Moon Night.
Finally.
What do you think about Persona 3 Dancing Moon Night?
I've told you when you try to get me to play a Persona game, unless they're dancing, I don't want to fucking play it.
Well, boy, howdy, have I got a deal for you. Because hot on the heels of Persona 4 Dance All Night, we've got two, not one, not two, but two, not one, but two Persona dancing games. Persona 3... What the fuck was the name of this thing again? They all got really silly names. Persona 3 Dancing Moon Night and Persona 5 Dancing Star Night.
Nice.
Yep. Fucking dancing.
Jesus.
Japanese dancing games are so funny. I don't even know these characters. Like, I know the ones in 5 and in 4, but, like, these are just... I've never really played Persona 3, and these are just characters where I'm just like...
Okay.
That's coming out next year as well. Oh, you know what? I think I said spring on the anime. I don't know if there's an actual release date on that. I think the spring was Persona, the dancing ones.
So counting down the days for that, huh?
Yeah. The big change on these, though, is that the previous one was only on the Vita, and these are also going to be on the PS4 as well as the Vita. In addition to those, there's also going to be another Persona game coming out next year, which will be Persona Q2, which Persona Q is a 3DS dungeon crawling kind of crossover game between Persona 3 and Persona 4. I thought it was okay, but they did have this mechanic where you had to literally draw the dungeons on the bottom touchscreen. So you had to use the stylus to draw where the walls were because it wouldn't just autofill the map. And I was just like... After about 3 dungeons, I was just like, fuck this.
That's kind of funny.
Goodbye. Which kind of sucks because other than that, I thought it was good. So anyway, if you're a lover of Persona, you got a lot to look forward to. Next up, we're going to talk about something a little bit dry, but I would encourage a lot of people who are interested in game development to go take a look at this. So SIGGRAPH is the convention that has a lot to do with like graphics and graphical technology and kind of artistic stuff.
Okay.
Apparently at SIGGRAPH just a few days ago, Remedy, who makes Alan Wake and Quantum Break, I didn't realize that 2 of those games rhymed, said they have teamed up with NVIDIA to create this new set of facial capture technology. This uses... let's see. This is running on an 8 GPU DX1 server from NVIDIA that has like, well, to put it in a way that everybody will understand, it's a learning computer that has like some rudimentary like neural network built into it to basically be able to anticipate a few different things. So I'm going to make Amanda watch these things. If you're interested, I highly recommend that you go to NeoGAF, go to and look for NVIDIA and Remedy, use neural networking for eerily good facial animation, because there's some YouTube videos, but they're unlisted YouTube videos. So you can't just like search for them. So this is basically taking a video of somebody and then showing the meshes of this software looking at that face and then mapping it onto a face in real time, essentially. This is a lot different than what currently happens because even when they do motion capture, they have to rig the face up, right?
They put the little balls all
dots
over,
on.
the little ping pongs all over their face.
And then usually, as near as I can understand, especially from writing this or from reading this, you then have to go in and clean that data up and then add certain things to it. Whereas here, you're getting very much like a one-step process of just like showing.
So it's literally that. It's literally because so what we're seeing is 3 like panels, one after another. One is the actual actor making facial expressions. I can't read what those top parts are.
The second one is target. This is like kind of a
like the initial pass and
midpoint.
The second one is like it like smoothing out the edges of everything. It looks like
yes.
So and that's all like what it is. There's no like.
What do you mean? Like this is the output is output.
Yeah.
Is that you would then map that onto a character.
Okay.
But what's more interesting than that is so like this is a comparison.
Jesus, sometimes it's horrifying.
Sometimes it's horrifying. These are examples of what this looks like, of what you would get out of the process of doing motion capture, something like this previously, as opposed to this one, which is what you get now.
Wow,
you can see that there's a pretty big difference in the amount of like being able to move. So this one I feel like is capture where you're going to have to clean it back up.
Yeah.
And this is why you would put the balls on for reference. I put my balls on for reference all the time. Sorry.
Gross.
Zing! But there's a lot of deformity in here, and this is something that takes a lot of time, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of things don't look super good. But what's more interesting about this is the second thing, and the second thing is that you can show this piece of software about 5 to 10 minutes of reference of a person's facial expressions, program in like what that facial expression is. Like say, this is neutral facial expression, have the person talk for 5 or 10 minutes. Then you can feed into it just a voice line, and it will use that previous face data to fill in the blanks.
So is this really going to streamline making games more so than like making it look better? Does that make sense?
It is a lot less work. Because the work is being done by this neural network instead of like a cleanup artist who has to go in and spend hours and hours and hours.
Like, this doesn't look natural. Let's kind of soften those edges and shit.
I was thinking about this, and one of the reasons this came up is because if you go to extra credits, extra credits is like a spin-off. There's like a teacher and a game dev, and then there's like artist, and they talk about stuff. Everybody knows what extra credits is.
I was like obsessed with it for a long time.
They had a video talking about like what went wrong with Mass Effect Andromeda's face animation, and they dive real deep into how the Mass Effect system works and how instead of they compare it to Uncharted 4 and how Uncharted 4 I thought this was a really good word. They used bespoke animation of like everything is motion captured, so every scene is put together, right? But with Mass Effect, you've got 200 hours, and you don't have time to do 200 hours worth of individual animation for every scene.
Right.
So you need a thing where you can say, go from idle pose 1 to idle pose 2, go from facial expression 1 to facial expression 4, and add angry gesture 2 in the middle of that or whatever. That's what's so interesting about this is that this video that we're watching right now, this is a direct translation of a video capture. This is just an audio stream. So when you look at this video, you can tell that the one on the left is better, but this one on the right is this one that's just audio.
Yeah,
it ain't doing too bad for just a neutral thing.
I mean, it's a little like deadpan in the face, but even then, not in a distracting way.
What's interesting is that as they move forward through the second video, they have a thing called mining and applying emotional states.
Oh, okay.
And this is even more interesting because what this is about is training the AI that this is what a sad face looks like, and then this is that same emotion applied to a different set of audio without a voice actor, and the software is interpolating. You can see when you look at it how the eyes and the facial expression. I'm sorry that so much of this is visual and you're probably not getting it. You should definitely go look this stuff up because it's really interesting, because what it means is basically at the end of the day what this could potentially mean is you could have something with the amount of dialogue that Mass Effect Andromeda had with the animation quality of Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Because if you had 200 hours worth of stuff and you just hired actors to come in and basically
read those lines
brief
and
reading work,
yeah.
and you were able to then translate it into something like this that had this amount of flexibility, you would then end up with essentially a somewhat quantum leap forward in the quality of what we could expect for just like a regular old. Like, this is mild surprise to then a pained face, and this is all based on the AI just learning what a pained face and what a surprise face looks like.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that everybody go back and look at this, because it is really fascinating. Amanda, you could
yeah, no, it's intriguing to watch. I would love to watch it with audio to see 100% what's going on.
You will hear the same you will hear the same lines like 100 times, because they use like the same 5 lines of dialogue. But if you're interested in this, I would highly recommend, again, go to NeoGAF, look up NVIDIA and Remedy, use neural networks for eerily good facial animation. Really fascinating stuff, especially for anybody that is interested in game dev. Now, the server that they're using is like a monster, and the software, I'm sure, is fucking Skynet. But like, it seems like the sort of thing, like, I always wondered why after Uncharted learned how to do all this frame blending and like this custom animation stuff, why more games didn't try that, because it seemed like they've been doing that since the PlayStation 3 era, and that like some games will do that, but like I still don't know how many games, like, you know how when Nathan Drake walks too close to a wall, he'll like put his hand up like to keep himself from hitting the wall. Like, I don't really know that many other games that do that, and like that technique has been around for a long
chest
time.
Bumping the wall when
or he does a little swim up the wall.
Well, that or like I like in games that don't have any kind of like awareness, where the character is literally just continues to try to walk into the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, how could you ask us to lose that, Jeff? I love that. I feel so immersed when it happens.
Do you? Well, I know I talked about it a while back, but we also have some BioWare news this week.
Yay.
So BioWare Montreal, the creators of Mass Effect Andromeda, have been absorbed into EA Motive. EA Motive is Jade Raymond's group, which is supposed to be making, I believe they're making the Amy Hennig like standalone single-player Star Wars game that we haven't heard about for 2 years. But yeah, they're basically been. This is never a great sign for a company when they're busted out of their own elements and then like absorbed into another team. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be good. Maybe like there's so many different stories about what the fuck even happened with Mass Effect Andromeda. A lot of it seems that like BioWare was routing resources and time, and that the whole thing was just half baked and thrown together.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they go over to Jade Raymond's team. Jade Raymond knows how to make things. She was producer, I think, on Assassin's Creed back when it was super good. Maybe they'll get a second life there and they can all do their thing.
Here's hoping.
I don't know.
Let's stay optimistic about it. That works out for gamers.
Yeah. Yeah, gamers are so optimistic. Also, Corey Gasper, this is a sad story. The head, I believe he was the head, the team lead on that new Anthem game, died. Passed away.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
How?
So I don't know. There's not really.
There's no like release or anything.
None of the stuff, none of the headlines that I read said it, and I felt really weird about going to be like, "Ooh, tell me how he died. I want to know."
Oh, I just if it's like he was in a car accident or it was something else, like you just want to know.
So pour one out for BioWare. Let's hope that they can. I don't know. I feel bad for BioWare. Like I used to just love everything that came out of there, and it seems like it's been kind of a one thing after another recently.
They got a gypsy curse on them.
Oh, they get that monkey's paw?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I just imagine what you cut in front of the gypsy woman, and she's like, "Bad games."
They're like, no.
I was gonna say, who's the name of the guy? Anyway, the guy that just came back to be their new CEO. So a few weeks back, we had a story about how Minecraft at E3 announced that the PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and all the versions of Minecraft were going to be able to play on each other's servers. Because why the fuck not? And that was when Sony stepped in and said, we'll tell you why the fuck not, because we're Sony, and go eat a dick.
Sony's like, we don't want your filthy hands all over our beautiful games.
Sony came out and made a real stupid half-baked statement about, like, well, we just can't guarantee that, like, the security, the parental locks are going to work, and that there's not just going to be peepees and hoo-has all over the screen. They didn't say peepees or hoo-has.
I would love it if they did.
And everybody was like, okay, Sony, come on, just fucking. But apparently, Microsoft said in a quote, while we are thrilled to be able to confirm the new version of Minecraft is coming to Nintendo Switch, we are still in discussions with Sony about PlayStation and have nothing to confirm. We would love to work with Sony to bring players on PlayStation 4 into this ecosystem as well. This is after Sony said, nuh-uh, but some people are thinking maybe this means that there's a little wiggle room. So who knows?
Or they just really want it to happen, and Sony's like, no.
So it's just like, no. And they're like, so we're still talking to Sony.
They're like, come on, please. And they're like, no. And they're like, ugh, I'll ask you again tomorrow.
Sony is like, so you said that we were in talks. You sent me an email if we could put the servers together. And I said no.
Yeah.
Those aren't talks. I just said no.
I mean, we were talking when I said no.
Then you Skyped me and you said pretty please. And I said no. And I hung up. And that was the entirety.
I thought you understood when I sent back the roses you sent me.
Damn right. Well, I'll tell you who deserves some roses. That's Blizzard, because the summer games are back.
I mean, I'm not too hyped for the summer games. But
yeah. Well, starting August 8th and ending August 29th, they're bringing back the Summer Games event, and Lucio Ball is coming back.
Yeah.
So,
are they getting new skins, or is it the same skins as last time?
yes, there will be all new summer skins, but here's why I actually chose to leave this in, because I found this to be really interesting. There's going to be new skins, and last year's skins are also going to be available, but at a discounted price. So this year's Summer Games cosmetics are going to be legendary skins for 3,000 credits, epic skins for 750, rare tier items for 225, and common tier for 75 credits. But last year's stuff is going to be 1,000 credits for the legendary skins, 250 for epic skins, rare tier 75, and common tier 25.
That's awesome. So does this mean that, because this is the first real...
This is our first loop. This is our first loop back.
So this means that all of the Halloween shit that I missed, because I didn't get any... I think I got like one skin.
Yeah.
I can't, like, hopefully when Halloween comes around, I'll be able to buy all the ones that I wanted.
Knock on wood, because this is, like I said, this is the first thing that we've seen.
Yeah.
That would be really smart of Blizzard, right? Because they got the money from last year.
But Blizzard always does really smart, and they're really good about sucking up to their fans. They're like super good about it.
Yep.
They're all about their fans' dick. It's just nice to see every once in a while.
I'm like, Blizzard, my dick is tired. All right, just could you put out some paid DLC that's cosmetic, please? Could I buy a key? I don't know. So that was the thing that I thought was really interesting about this, is because if we're starting to get back into there, and then Halloween and Christmas and
like the Chinese New Year,
the throwback event that they had.
Oh yeah,
like,
even the anniversary, if they make those available, because those were really cool skins too.
It would be really cool if every year they basically put out new stuff and then like dropped the old stuff until we can all just go back and get that fucking Mercy Witch skin that we all want so bad.
Yeah. Dude, I want that Reaper with his, I think he had a pumpkin head.
Oh yeah. Pumpkin head Reaper. I just wanted Professor Junkrat. That was I really liked that one.
He was kind of awesome.
The bad part of this that I actually didn't choose to include was that apparently they nerfed the fuck out of Roadhog to the point where his gun won't one-shot anybody anymore, and there's like a whole thing about like they want people to rework him like Symmetra, or just like pull him out of the game entirely.
Can they pull Symmetra out of the game, because I am done with her.
You're done with Symmetra? I haven't played Overwatch in a while.
I love the Wall of Death of just like 6 fucking laser beams hitting you at the same time. But, God, is that shit annoying.
That's why you play Junkrat, right? Throw some grenades in there, get them all at the same time.
I play Junkrat all the time. I get play of the game as Junkrat at this point.
Nice. All right, so we got a couple of other quick announcements, and I'm going to axe one of them because I don't know what it even is.
Oh, there you go.
Sony confirmed that. Oh no, Square Enix confirmed that Dragon Quest IX is being localized for the United States,
Yay.
which is great. I don't think they've come into very many specifics yet. Apparently, there were. I didn't even know this because I don't keep up with Dragon Quest news, but there were 2 3DS versions of Dragon Quest in Japan. There was one that was like a down-resed version of the 3D art that you see there, and there was one where they actually remade that entire game in like the old Dragon Quest sprites that you could buy separately.
Wow, really?
And I don't know if they're bringing both or either of them over, but we do know that Dragon Quest IX is going to be localized. So, boosh.
Woohoo!
Speaking of things coming to your PlayStation 4, Resident Evil Revelations, one of my favorite, and as far as I'm concerned, one of the most underrated Resident Evil games, is coming to the PS4 and Xbox One. I'm pretty sure that this is just a port of what is already on the PC, which actually plays real nice if you got a Jones to play it right now. Seems like they might have smoothed out a few other edges. But this is Jill Valentine, and I believe some Chris Redfield on a weird ship. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's going to have all the DLC from the game because, of course, why the fuck would you? Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, it's got a co-op raid mode as well as the single-player story. Yeah. I think that this game is criminally underrated, personally.
I don't think I've ever played it.
It was a 3DS game.
Oh, that's why, yeah. Then I definitely haven't played it. Because I was like, none of this looks familiar.
Yeah, it started as a 3DS game.
They're very shiny.
Yep. Started as a 3DS game, and if I remember correctly, it was like one of the first 3DS games to use. You remember how the original 3DS, you could buy like this other unit that plugged into the back of it that would give you the other analog stick?
Yeah.
It like came off of one side, right? Yeah. I believe this was one of the first games to use that, but you didn't actually have to use it. It was like an option. This came out around the same time, I feel like, when Resident Evil 5 or 6, between 5 and 6. And when everybody was upset about how kind of actiony Resident Evil was getting, I feel like this one kind of is very creeping around horror roots.
Yeah.
So I think it's personally very underrated game. So if you haven't ever played it before, it is Capcom. I don't, they're going to...
So when is it going to come out?
Charge an arm and a goddamn leg for it. August 29th.
Nice.
And
you
actually,
save it for Asylum?
We've already done it. I think we did it the first year on the Asylum.
Really?
Yeah. So August 29th, and then there's going to be a Nintendo Switch version also later in the year.
Nice.
So... and last but certainly not least, God only knows that I only mentioned Dark Souls once, so we got to mention it one more time.
Go ahead. Sorry.
This is just a giant fan wank. Bandai Namco has announced Dark Souls: The Vinyl Trilogy.
I like Dark Souls, but I like it a lot better on vinyl.
It's a 9 LP box set of records with the entire soundtrack of Dark Souls on vinyl.
Now, I've watched you play Dark Souls a lot, but I don't really think about the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a particular... I mean, I guess you're a biased opinion, but is it a particularly good soundtrack?
They do a thing where most of the music is boss themes, so... It ends up being, I feel, a little bit more... It waters down as the series goes on because they start getting into this very... Everything's like a choral... Like they all start to sound exactly the goddamn same, right? But the first one has some really memorable themes. The second one has a really nice theme. If I had a record player, I would really want these. They're only making... 2,000 and there's no price, so I'm sure they're going to be like $600 a piece or whatever. But the second game, the theme song in the area that you go to rest, Majula, is a very like peaceful song. That's you hear it so much it's really stuck in your head. I actually really like the Bloodborne soundtrack a little bit more. Like I would say maybe Dark Souls 1 and then Bloodborne and then 2 and then 3. And I don't really remember much about Demon Souls soundtrack. But I tell you what, if somebody was to hand these to me, I'd go buy a USB record player because I would like to listen to them.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can get a fairly cheap record player at this point.
the thing is that I know that, It's just that these will not in any way, shape, or form be cheap.
Yeah.
And I can right now go to YouTube and play the music from the games. So, if I could go to GameStop and, brush aside the Five Nights at Freddy's action figures and throw the Naruto backpacks on the ground and find these, I would buy them. But just like
I feel like
SNES
GameStop
Classic,
isn't set up so you have to throw all the other shit on the floor before you get to other
No, that's
stuff.
how I do it.
Okay.
That's how I do it.
That's why you're not allowed to go to most GameStops.
That's how I do it.
That's why you got kicked out of
That's
three
how
of
I
them.
rotate between them.
That's why the last time you had anything purchased from GameStop, you had to send somebody else with your money.
That's true.
Because if they see your face, they call the cops.
They've got the do not serve this man.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the guy asked me if I wanted to pre-order the Prima Strategy Guide, and I just fucking grabbed that Doctor Strange bust and I popped him in the face with it. Said, check out my Dark Souls, and then I ran out into the night and screaming and crying. With that mental image, folks. Also, I wasn't wearing pants. That too. With that mental image, we're going to go on break. Think about that for 10 seconds, and we're going to be right back with questions. And we're back.
Woohoo!
It is time. It's that time again, the most special time of any week.
Christmas.
No.
Okay.
Week, not year.
I'm sorry. Friday.
No. It's Sunday, and your weekend's almost up, and you get ready to go back to work, and oh, fuck. But no, questions. Questions is where I was going.
Yeah, of course.
My brain is scattered all over the place. Questions. Mail@ragelight.com is the email address. And our first question this week comes in from, I'm going to say, Chris, who says, hello, Jeff and Amanda. I'll try to make this question quick. What is one artist or movie or form of media? Oh, it's just everything, okay.
One anything.
Movie, TV show, music band, actress, etc. That you would say is very hit or miss for you. Either you love it or you hate it. For me, I would say it's Call of Duty. Every other game, I either love the game, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 3, multiplayer, or I hate it. World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare. I think the game is really unbalanced. Also, is there any chance you'd be on a Modern Rogue episode? I know you, Brian and Jason, are good friends, so why not the crossover? Thanks all, and all hail the mighty Dog Lord. P.S. Love the Red Dead playthrough. P.S. Jason Murphy told me to send a pic of my balls, but I won't do that. So,
thank you for not sending a picture of your balls.
Yes, please.
Because Jeff has the emails up on a big screen, and that's not something I need to see right now.
I wouldn't make other people look at balls. Generally speaking, in life, not looking at balls.
How funny would it be if somebody sent you a picture of their balls and then put the text of the question over the picture?
Around the bottom of them? Yeah, okay, no, I could see it. As far as Modern Rogue goes, I don't really have any skills that the Modern Rogue
teach us how to play video games, Jeff.
Cook a chicken, play Dark Souls. Like the Modern Rogue plays Dark Souls. We're like, oh man, we get this one requested all the time. We're so bad at playing Dark Souls, and then it's just Brian and Jason trying to play Dark Souls and me just screaming, "Get good, get good! Why are you so bad? Get good!"
That would be an amazing April Fool's episode, though.
Oh man. Anyway, so let's see. Something that is very hit or miss. Something that you feel like sometimes it works and sometimes, boy, just does it not ever. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that falls into that category. For me, at least.
You go first because I'm kind of not.
I'm going to take an upper tier genre. Mm-hmm. Horror. American horror is very hit or miss for me. American Horror Story is very hit or miss for me. Sometimes I put it on in the background and I'm just like, and sometimes I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing.
Have you heard about that, by the way?
What?
That they confirmed the fan theory about it.
That's all garbage and nobody knows what they're doing.
It's based on Dante's Inferno, and each season is a different ring of, in hell.
Oh, okay.
And that they're approved for 9 seasons, so they're going to go through each ring of hell.
I've never read Dante's Inferno, so I could not say.
I have because I'm pretentious.
There you go. But no, I feel like a lot of people I know, like Jason and like Brian Salisbury, they're like horror fiends. They're willing to watch whatever. Chris Cox is kind of like that too. They're just willing to watch whatever, and they're willing to cut it a lot of slack. I am not willing to cut it a lot of slack. So, like, if I thought everybody said, "Oh man, the Babadook is so great," and I really like the Babadook. I know some people don't, but I really liked it. I've watched it a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, "Oh my God, It Follows. It's this year's the Babadook," and I watched it and I was like, "I did not like that.
It is not this year's The Babadook, or that year's The Babadook.
I did not care for this movie. So
that was me heaping praise on it too, I believe.
yeah,
Sorry.
No. Everybody was heaping praise on It Follows, and it's also possible that it might have just been the praise that was heaped on It Follows.
In fairness, the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that genre for me is hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I enjoy it, and sometimes I think it's real dumb, and I'm not happy that I watched it.
Yeah.
So
If I were going to do a genre that's hit or miss, it'd be fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I'm real into it, and the things that I like, people don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked...
Dragon Riders of Pern.
I don't even know what that is. I really enjoyed the Jason Momoa Conan movie.
Okay.
And everyone else was like, it's horrible, it's bullshit, it's dumb. And I was like, I feel like it reminded me more of Frank Frazetta painting than the shit with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Which felt more like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't love Harry Potter. I'm sorry. I don't like...
Shock!
I appreciated it when it came out. I read the first 3 or 4 books, and I tried to get into it, and I just could not get into it.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Everyone told me Stardust was the greatest fantasy movie ever when it came out.
Really?
And I hated that movie when I left the theater.
Yeah.
I've only seen it the once, so I'm always like, well, maybe I'll rewatch it and it'll click with me now. But I thought it was fucking dumb. But then there's other fantasy movies that I'm just like madly in love with. So it just kind of depends. I always tell people I don't like fantasy so that they don't recommend fantasy to me.
Get all up in your biz.
Yeah, because people get real bitchy about it.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, no, I'm like a sci-fi person and not a fantasy person, so that they don't force it on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm much better if I find the fantasy on my own.
I find that I find that there are a lot more fantasy nerds than there are sci-fi nerds. And in fact, if I could just take a brief step to the left, I hate that science fiction
It's a
fantasy
jump to the left and then a step to the right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I hate that science fiction and fantasy are lumped together in books.
Yeah.
Because I read science fiction books. I do not read fantasy books. I don't want to read books about zombies. I don't want to read books about dragons. I don't want to read a Song of Fire and Ice.
And dwarves.
Well, every time I go to Kindle and I'm looking for something new and I'm like science fiction fantasy and it's like anything by George R.R. Martin, and I'm like, no, not that. I want the science part, not the I don't want the dragons, I want the laser guns.
I want to go to space. I don't want to go to a mythical world with unicorns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought of another one while you were talking. This is a strange one for me, but Doctor Who is very hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like it a lot. Sometimes I don't care for it. There are parts of the even the Davies stuff with Tennant. There are some episodes that other people just universally love. The one where he fucking locks up his memory and has to... where he's in a school and he thinks he's a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody fucking loves that. And I was just like, God, Yawnsville, USA. Next up.
Oh, an episode where the doctor isn't the doctor sounds fun.
Oh, gee, he falls in love with a woman. Oh, mercy, clutch at my pearls. Isn't it? No, it's not. It's not. It's fucking stupid. I want to see him go back in time and use a fucking space fighter to win caveman fights. I don't know.
That was a weird combination of words that you put together, but sure, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, anything that runs for a long enough period of time is hit or miss for me.
Right. I mean, isn't that the nature of it, though? Eventually, if it goes long enough, it's bound to have some bad episodes or a bad season or two, and then...
Archer's like that. There's some seasons of Archer that I just, I care less about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a creator, like a director or...
somebody that's real uneven.
Yeah, but
you
I
like some of their stuff, but you don't like other stuff.
Yeah, but I tend to be all in when it comes to creator. Guillermo del Toro, I have a lot of people that tell me he's one of my favorite directors, and I have a lot of people tell me, this movie wasn't good or that movie wasn't good. And it's like, no. I love everything Guillermo del Toro has done.
I was gonna say Nolan, but I feel like
I don't like Nolan.
I feel like
that's not hit or miss. That's a swing.
Miss.
That's a swing and a miss.
I feel like though that Interstellar was really the only thing of his that I just like categorically. Interstellar, and I think the first Batman movie is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that The Dark Knight is so much better than that first one.
Yeah.
And that the third one is, to me, just kind of cheesy, and I like watching Bane do stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't care about anything else but Bane doing stuff.
I think it's just kind of upper tier, like middling. It's okay. It's all okay. Better
Yeah.
than average, but not. And I never like blew my mind when I watched any of his stuff.
Wait, didn't he do? J.J. Abrams?
Oh, what? I'm trying to think. What would your goods be? What are your hits and what are your misses for J.J. Abrams?
I really liked the first Star Trek.
I did too.
Mission Impossible 3 was okay.
I don't even remember
I didn't care about Super 8, and Into Darkness has not aged super well for me.
I would say Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I can
I
agree with
come
that a little
off
bit.
as somebody that hates Joss Whedon, but I actually like a lot of stuff he's done. It's just the stuff he does that everyone loves aren't the things that I love.
Okay.
So it's because everyone, Buffy, Firefly. I don't hate Firefly, but like they throw Buffy at me all the time, and I'm like, I don't like it. And they're like, but you're a girl, and she's real strong, and she fights monsters. And I go, yeah, they're like, I watched it. I grew up when it was on television, and you guys were throwing it at me then too.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it, or I didn't connect with it in the way that people wanted me to. But like Dr. Horrible Sing Along blog was awesome. It was like
dynamite.
great. I always get those stupid songs stuck in my stupid head.
Yeah, I'm going to have them stuck in there too. Thanks, Amanda.
You're welcome.
All right, anything else?
Any video game related one for you? Is there a hit or miss for?
Again, I feel like you just got to look at anything that has a long enough timeline.
Yeah.
So, like Final Fantasy, some I like, some I don't.
I think that's true for everybody. I don't know anybody that's like, all Final Fantasy is the greatest Final Fantasy.
I could probably point you in the direction of at least one person who would make that argument.
Okay.
I mean, like Assassin's Creed is definitely hit or miss,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
2, 4,
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Yeah. Anything that's had more than say 3 entries probably is hit or miss. Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2 are fucking amazing. Dead Space 3, not bad, but just
Definitely miss.
yeah, definitely a bit of a miss. Yeah, I don't know. Anything with a long enough timeline, and I feel like you're going to get hit or miss.
Yeah.
So when Chris says here Call of Duty, I agree with you on Call of Duty.
You have that many games. Eventually, some of them are going to be misses. Some of them are going to connect with you
It
more.
used to be I could just say I'm not going to like the Treyarch ones. I probably am going to like the Infinity Ward ones, but then that changed, and I liked some of them. Like I liked. I think he put Advanced Warfare in there. If that's the one with Kevin Spacey, because I actually liked that one. I thought that one was
Isn't
pretty
it?
cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, yeah. All right, our next question comes in from Marquise, who says, "Hello, Jeff and Amanda. This is Marquise. I don't believe you ever gave your thoughts on Jason's book, The Black Goat Motorcycle Club. If you read it, how did you feel about it? I really enjoyed it as one of the best werewolf stories we've had in recent years. Thanks so much from Maricus."
It was awful. I burned it. I with the book. No, I thought it was good. I actually didn't get to finish it because I had like a little cheater early copy of it on a computer that I no longer have.
Oh, okay.
But what I read, I liked. It was yeah. I mean, it felt like God. I wish I remember the fucking movie. I don't know. There's this like vampire movie that was like a 90s.
Vampires with a $sign at the end. James Woods.
I want to say Bon Jovi
Bon Jovi.
is in it.
Bon Jovi in a werewolf movie? In a vampire movie.
Yeah.
A vampire movie starring John Bon Jovi.
Yes.
I have to know what this is immediately. To the internet, everybody. Can you search for it faster than we can? John
I might be wrong and you might be right.
Jovi vampire
Look it up.
movie. Oh, damn, the fact that I have to hold a microphone with one hand.
I'm sorry.
Vampires Los Muertos?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at.
I feel like it had.
Somebody in the comment section knew that, and they were yelling it into their iPod.
But I don't. Something about it being like this old like desert town, and there's like caves, and there's or like not caves, but like mining.
There's stuff.
Yeah, it was when he was trying real hard. I used to. This was definitely a Blockbuster rental where I just saw the poster and was like, I am in.
This looks terrible.
Yeah. Well, I just compared it to Jason's book, so maybe don't shit on it.
Sorry. I haven't seen it. It's
but in
possible.
fairness, no. It's definitely a movie of its time, and it's kind of. I think it was trying to ride the like Dusk Till Dawn idea, but I don't know. Something about it kind of reminded me of it, or even Tales from the Crypt.
Demon Knight.
Yes, it reminded me of that.
Bordello of Blood.
Demon. I think it's Demon Knight, the one with Billy Zane and Jada Pinkett Smith.
I think Demon Knight was Billy Zane.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was in that other one. Is that a gun with a stake in it?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a 90s movie. I can't remember.
You guys should go watch this trailer immediately. This trailer is incredible. This was from 2002.
2002,
so just,
yeah. It comes
that
off.
Horrible. We're barely out of the 90s.
Yeah.
I kind of consider that to still be the 90s. I'm trying to figure out who the other people in this movie are, though. Hold on. We got to find out who the supporting cast is. Natasha Gregson Wagner. I don't know who that is. Darius McCrae, Diego Luna. Diego Luna, I know who that is.
Yes, you do.
She was an Urban Legend and High Fidelity and Lost Highway.
Natasha Gregson Wagner is the daughter of Natalie Wood.
And Arlie Jover, who was in Blade and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and A Prominent Patient. Anyway, I thought Jason's book was fun.
Let's get back onto the topic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. He was writing it like I kind of watched him write it and kind of just like lock himself in a room with a bottle of whiskey and just fucking like whip that thing out. That's a poor choice of words. Just knock that thing out.
Probably accurate.
No, I really enjoyed it. It was good. It was like action. I like the fact that a lot of times horror is so subjective, right? So whether like a book can scare you or not is
I wasn't scared,
right? But that wasn't the point of that one, right?
Yeah, but it definitely had a horror feel to it. It definitely had like a sense of urgency when things were happening. You definitely felt like, oh shit, when things were happening. But yeah, there wasn't a point where I was like fucking turning lights on in the house because I was worried about reading it or anything. Yeah. I also love a good werewolf story because I feel like werewolves are underappreciated.
They get bitched up in the media.
Yeah.
Fucking True Blood spent 6 seasons crapping on werewolves. Just every season was a new excuse to crap on some poor werewolves. All right, this next one comes in from Sean, and Sean says, "Hey, Jeff and Amanda, on last week's episode of Doom, you started mentioning the story of the origin of Jägermeister, but then lost focus and forgot to actually tell it.
Oops.
Sounded like it was going to be good the way you hyped it up, so please tell it now on the podcast. Thanks, and may the Dong Lord continue to bless all of Rage Select, your loyal audio servant, Sean." So do you know the story of Rage Select?
No.
Jägermeister?
What's a Rage Select?
Yes. Do you know the story of Jägermeister?
No.
Okay, let me look up the guy. I'm actually getting this. So I've never actually read up on this, but I heard it on a podcast. So let's just all.
So we know it's true.
Let's take that as just.
Black licorice grossness.
Okay, so Sidney Frank. Is this guy, and he died in 2006 at the age of 86, and he was a liquor importer. So for those of you who don't actually know what Jägermeister originally was, it was like an after-meal liqueur to aid digestion. That's why after you do Jaeger bombs all night, the next day you will pay. You will pay for what you have done, Cindy, okay? Now get out of my bathroom. No, so it was meant to be taken in very small drams. It's like a spiced liqueur, for fuck's sake. It's not like a pound in shots of it, right?
Yeah.
So it used to just be that. And it would be, I think that they might use it as a mixer from time to time. So this guy, this Sidney Frank guy, as the story goes, was at a nightclub and he saw these college dudes that were like daring each other to do shots of Jägermeister because it was like, it would be like asking to do shots of like Robitussin, right?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't normally go to a bar, and it'd be like if I went into a bar, this is a weird analogy, but it'd be like if I went into a bar and told somebody to take a pint glass and fill it up with ice and then fill it up to the top with Frangelico. If you don't know what Frangelico is, it's like this super sweet liqueur that tastes like a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of it like a mixed drink to sweeten it up, or maybe do a shot of it if you're a crazy person like me. It's like schnapps or something like that. But he saw them doing this, and instantly he was like, ding! And he bought Jägermeister, and then he rebranded it. He didn't actually rebrand any of the stuff, but he just started doing advertising for it as this kind of like, woo, fucking cut loose, bro!
Yeah.
Jägermeister will fuck you up! And like... That was when it started.
It's like it basically sells itself after that.
Right. Because, remember, like, I don't know. Have you ever seen the machines that they have? It looks like this. It's like a black, like, it looks almost like a small coffin with like an orange front on it. And they put bottles of Jägermeister in the top of it and it chills them so they can just dispense like a shot of chilled Jägermeister and hand to a person. That shit didn't used to exist. Like, they would pour you, and most places will still pour it to you.
Yeah.
But the fact that Jägermeister is now seen as this weird party shot, fuck you up, like bad decision, fucking let's cut loose, is because this guy took this thing and marketed it that way. He also, let me make sure that I got this correct. The other thing that he did that was, the other thing that he did that was fairly genius was he made Grey Goose.
The vodka? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And what he did was he said, if we take a vodka and we put a cork in it so that it's fancy like wine and then triple the price, people will think that it's better, even though you could go out to the internet right now and find stuff about how Grey Goose is really not all that much different. It's maybe a little bit better, but like I once saw a thing where somebody took a Brita filter and bought like a bottle of like Gilbey's, which is plastic bottle garbage vodka, and ran it through a Brita filter 3 times and then like taste it because it's got the charcoal in it, right? Like you're taking impurities out of it, and then like did a taste test between that and Grey Goose, and most people can't tell the difference because vodka. I read an article a long time ago. You guys correct me if I'm wrong.
They will. Don't worry.
They will. Is that vodka is not supposed to be clear. In Russia, vodka can be cloudy. Like the Russian aristocracy would play games back in the olden days where they would literally put shots of vodka on like in a row, and then you would sip each one, and when you would suss out the name of which that vodka was, it would spell a word. It was kind of like Hangman, right? But they had enough of a different taste that you could taste them. Well, in the United States, there is a law in the books that a lot of people will trace back to not wanting. They wanted, because in the United States whiskey and rye was huge because of the corn we produced here, so they didn't want to like compete with that market. So at some point there was some ginning done of the law, no pun intended, that said that any clear liquor in the United States has to be like clear.
Yeah, it can't be like cloudy.
Yeah. Right. So that what you end up with is vodka where all of the stuff that would give it a taste has literally been filtered out to meet with the standards of what in America we know as vodka. But back to Sidney Frank and Jägermeister, his first thing, I think it was first that he did that before Jägermeister. Let's see. Turn the specialty brand to mainstream success. Okay, in the 80s. Oh, no, in the 80s, he obtained the importing rights to Jägermeister and promoted it heavily, advertising it as the best drink in the world, turning a specialty brand into a mainstream success. This is off the Wikipedia article. In 1997, he developed Grey Goose vodka, made in France by Francois something. This is whatever, and was so successful in promoting the brand to Bacardi. So successful in promoting it that he sold the brand to Bacardi for $2 billion in June of 2004.
God.
But it's literally not that much different than regular vodka.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe it is.
I want Crystal Skull vodka because I want the
bottle that it comes in.
I want that's it.
Why don't you just go buy a Crystal Skull?
No, but then I wouldn't be giving my money to Dan Aykroyd, and I love him.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway,
vodka used to be my drink of choice.
Yeah.
Jaeger is the blackout drink. I've only blacked out drinking 3 times in my entire life. 2 of those times involved Jaeger.
I stopped, and since I've started,
I've stopped and reevaluated my life.
No,
started some programs.
it was a fair number of years where, when I got sassy at the end of the night, I was looking to do some Jaeger shots, and it never ended very well. And I mean, well, that's not true.
Just murder and woke up in blood.
Statistically speaking, it didn't end well about 5% of the time, but that 5% was a pretty bad 5%.
Yeah.
And the hangover started to get unreasonable, and then from there I thought, I'll start doing shots of Fireball instead of Jägermeister, and it was no better. It was slightly better.
Why would Fireball be better?
Because it's not as well in my mind. It was a step down. It didn't have the same reputation of just like blowing your face off as Jägermeister had.
Okay.
So, and it was a little bit less.
Fireball is gross.
Yeah, well,
Jaeger isn't great, but Fireball is like cinnamony, and I hate cinnamon.
Yeah, I started my drinking career.
Also, if I'm going to hangover throw up, I'm definitely not going to hangover throw up something with cinnamon in it.
I don't throw up, so.
I do when I'm hungover.
Yeah,
like
I'll be hungover as shit.
Yeah.
I'll wake up drunk the next day and still not throw up, which sucks because I really want to. But I started my drinking career with Goldschlager, which is also a cinnamon.
I'm allergic to gold, so that would be real interesting.
There you go.
Somebody tried to offer that to me for a birthday once, and I'm like, "You trying to kill me?" I mean, I'm not that allergic, but I just like throwing it out there to people.
You trying to kill me, bro?
You trying to fucking murder me right now on my birthday?
Damn.
On this of all days?
Damn. All right, this next one comes in from Santiago, who says, "How's it hanging? I want to know, what do you do extra when playing video games or having fun in general? For example, I play Overwatch with a soundboard. For the most part, people can't get enough when I ult with Soldier 76 and America Fuck Yeah plays through my mic, or Hamill's Joker laugh when I ult with Junkrat. I also listen to audiobooks when I play RTS games like Civ, and sneak in my flask whenever I go to see the movies." To quote Waiting, "The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Love that show and all you do, Santiago. Do you anything different when you're playing stuff?
I'm trying to think.
Going to things?
I mean, because I'm always like, I'll play my own music or whatever instead of listening to the soundtrack in a game, but... what extra things do I do?
I'll watch stuff on Netflix sometimes if it's a game, like if it's like Dark Souls or something that I've played a bunch of times before.
Yeah.
I'll sometimes put something else on. But like today, I was going to do some Dark Souls playing, but I've been watching Death Note again, and I'm like, well, I can't just listen to Death Note. I don't know Japanese.
This is how you learn.
Yeah.
I've definitely done like hit a YouTube playlist and then start playing a video game while YouTube's going.
Yep.
I've never like watched a series though. YouTube is more just like a connection with random people that I pay too much attention to. It's almost like being too involved in a friendship, like a one-sided friendship.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know why I care what this person ate today and why they have so many videos about what they eat, but I'm going to watch the video anyway.
I don't watch people like that on YouTube. I do.
A lot of them start off as beauty bloggers, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hair, so I watch a lot of people do stuff with their hair, and then all of a sudden, it just became a trend of like, what I ate today videos, and it's like, neat. I'm glad you put strawberries in your oatmeal, but I don't know what to do with this information anymore.
The thing is that as time has gone on, I mentioned this earlier, but like as time has gone on and my reading habits have become more voracious, I've just substituted reading for a lot of other things. And then when I'm not doing that, we'll get into that in the next question. But like, I don't know. When I'm playing a game, I tend to concentrate on the game. Like, even a game that I know real well. I mean, the only exception is, I've said before that I like to get drunk and play X Gonna Give It To You, and then like see how far I can get in Bloodborne without dying, like on one life. That's fun for me, but then if I really want to play, like when John and I play Dark Souls 3, I just play Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think generally speaking, I like to be kind of front and center involved with what I'm doing. I'm not super good at multitasking.
Yeah.
Which is why I chose a career of talking while I play video games.
Oh, we can tell you're not good at it.
Damn it! The secret is out. All right, that's it, folks. Nothing else. I don't know. Is anything coming to mind for you? This is a hard question for me because I don't
really. Like, I just don't do a lot. I'm trying to think of what I do. But really, I'm just like, if it's like I feel like playing a video game, it's because I want to play that video game.
Actually, I do have something. I like to drink and read my science fiction blam shooty space opera books. I really like to get like pretty drunk and then read those books. Like, I find that it enhances it because I'm not reading Kafka. I'm not reading James Joyce. I'm reading and then Captain Tight Pants, he punched that alien right in the dick, and then alien was like, ow, my dick. And so
he's like, that's not my dick, that's my brain, because I'm an alien.
And then I'm sitting there just drinking like, yeah, fucking punch him again, Captain Tight Pants. You're the best.
When I was single and didn't have a dog, I'm a terrible single person, so when I'm single I'm like super ready to mingle. But I loved to walk over to Texadelphia once a week. What I would do is walk to Texadelphia, which is like a Philly sandwich place. I would get a sandwich and pickle chips, and I would sit there for like 2 hours and read a book and just. So I love going to the movies or going to a restaurant by myself and just. I think it's really. It took a long time. I think it's really important to be comfortable with yourself, like going to because I know a lot of people that are like, I can't go to a restaurant by myself. What if people think I'm like a sad, lonely person or whatever? Like, I love being by myself and doing like So that's not necessarily the same thing, but it's like it's my little thing for myself is that I really like doing stuff like that without a dog or John in tow.
Are there people out there who won't go to a restaurant by themselves?
Yes. I know people that are very like, no, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? And it's like, bring a book. And they're like, no, I can't do it. That's just weird. And it's a lot of people.
Bring a book.
I'm telling you, like, maybe in the comments, some people can like join and like jump in and say if they're uncomfortable with it. But I know a lot. I feel like younger people that I know personally are more uncomfortable with that idea than older people. Like old, like real old people, like you, or like no.
Go to McDonald's at 7 a.m. and read the newspaper and eat breakfast in McDonald's. Yeah. They have a drive-through, old man.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that don't like going to like movie theaters by themselves.
What?
And I love it. I think it's a great experience personally. Like I don't know. And then when I was younger, I would have thought that was like a weird thing to do. But then I don't
know. I've been a loner for a long time to the point where I'm like, if I didn't feel like I could go to a restaurant by myself, then I would have gone to nearly as many restaurants as I've gone to.
I mean, I like it, but
I used to get drunk, read my book, and then go to gyms by myself and keep reading my book.
You know what I can't do without doing something else?
What's that?
I can't listen to a podcast.
Really?
I can't just sit down and listen to a podcast. My brother does that, and I think it's an odd waste of time.
What, just like staring at the ceiling and listening intently to a podcast?
He'll basically just like play his podcast and like it's more like mindless nothing on the internet, you know, like refresh Facebook, refresh Twitter, refresh whatever, but he doesn't. It's really more just going to sit down and listen to that podcast, where I exclusively listen to podcasts and audiobooks when I'm working.
I do it when I'm walking my dog.
Yeah, like, and that would be like if my dog went on longer than 15-minute walks, I'd probably listen to more stuff. Yeah. But like for an 8-hour shift, I'll listen to 2 or 3 podcasts, and I'll just it makes me work faster, and it makes it like, I don't know, it just makes my like everything run a little better for me.
Sure,
it's harder to work without music or podcasts, and then
driving too. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving. And there's been a few times where I've been driving without listening to a podcast. I'm just like, this is boring.
I love music when I'm driving. It's hard for me to do podcasts while I'm driving.
Okay.
I don't. It just feels like I'm quiet. But with music, I'm the asshole who will sing loudly and dance. I don't give a I do it with John in the car. I have people stare at me. I don't care. That's my little zone. I can listen and do whatever the fuck I want. I'm too old to care what you think, person in the fucking gray sedan next to me.
No. You're not too old. There is no reason to care what the person in the sedan. What there was for people who don't like. Dane Cook had a part of. You remember that one where he had the circle stage that he was running around doing stuff? Okay. I think Dane Cook gets a little bit more shit than is entirely necessary. I'm not going to say I think he's the best comic in the world, but he had this one bit about like crying in your car and doing this bit about how like other people are going to look over. They're just going to be like, ah, ha, ha, and like pointing to other cars, like doing the sad eyes motion. Like, look, check this asshole out. He's fucking crying in his car.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, car is your space, man.
I actually had somebody do that. Not that specifically, but I was crying in a car, and I had the person that like was at the red light next to me roll down their windows and start yelling stuff.
What?
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Humans. I'm sorry, did I cut off your middle of your story?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, let's wrap
Where
this
are
up.
we? What's happening?
We got one more. Dunsmore says, hello, prophet of the dong and leader of the Ladyboy Tequila Slaves, Jeff, and the lovely, gorgeous, and super witty co-host, Amanda. I've been following Rage Select since the Spilled Days, and I don't say that as a badge of honor, but instead bring it up as an email topic. Rage Select is my go-to media. No matter what I'm doing, I often put Rage Select on in the background and put it on for a guaranteed laugh. What is your fallback series or movie that you always seem to come back to? Keep on rocking in the free world, Dunsmore.
I just really wanted it to say, I don't say it as a badge of honor, but a token of shame.
Yes.
So what do you go back to most often?
I mean,
does he mean like online thing, or is he literally like series, like a TV show?
Well, he doesn't. Unlike most people who write in, he doesn't give his own example. He doesn't say like, "I like to watch Battlestar
he
Galactica."
gave Rage Select an example.
That's true. That's very true.
How dare you downplay our hard work, Jeff?
I don't. Okay, so Star Trek, I'll go back to and watch over and over again. A lot of TV series is.
I do a lot of like Bob's Burgers or Futurama for a while when it was more on, because it's not on Netflix anymore.
Futurama is back on Netflix.
Is it? Okay,
yeah.
So because it left like a while ago, and then I guess it came
Bob's
back.
Burgers on Hulu.
Yes.
I know because I was watching both those.
I have both Hulu and So. And we just got Amazon Prime, and we don't have the internet right now.
The internet?
It's like torture.
Oh Jesus. I'll get stuck on a series, so just got done watching Friends again.
Do you watch movies over? Because like John and I connect on this weird level of like, I know I just watched this movie, but I feel like watching it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will watch Pump Up the Volume every day for a week for no reason except like it's the movie that I want to see. It's like a craving. Like I really want pizza. I know I had pizza yesterday, but I really want pizza.
Yeah.
And so like Pump Up the Volume is one oddly enough, Grease 2.
Okay.
There's a movie called Strictly Ballroom by Baz Luhrmann that I watch all the time because it's easy. I don't know. Like girls just want to have fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Weird. Like I just do a lot of movies that are like stupid junk food movies.
Anything that you've heard me talk about a bunch of times. So like Transformers the movie, Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, oh yeah, those are all those.
Dr. Horrible Sing Along Blog.
Yeah.
I like musicals apparently.
I think those are, to me, musicals are like Hairspray was one for me.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like John Travolta in the movie. I think it's just easier because it's almost like listening to music. Mm-hmm. Where you can do other things while it's going on, and you memorize the lyrics of the song. It's almost like you've already memorized the movie.
Yeah.
So it's easier to like jump into. I watched Moulin Rouge so many times that I can't watch that movie again. Like I can quote the entire thing.
Scott Pilgrim falls in that category for me.
Yeah, I did Scott Pilgrim a lot.
Watched a lot of Scott Pilgrim. I watched Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars. Used to be the thing that I would put on and then fall asleep on the couch to.
That's a weird one.
When I got drunk because I liked it, and then I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Riddick, the second movie, The Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
That was what I used to put on and fall asleep on the couch drunk to before I switched over to Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars.
I do the original. This will come as no shock to the people that know me. I watched the original first 3 seasons of the Muppet Show.
Okay.
Because I have them on DVD. And I think there's 4 seasons, but they only have 3 seasons out. And so I just watch those over and over again, and I'll just like skip celebrities I don't like, and I'll be like, Steve Martin's episode, shit, yeah.
On the internet, I feel like I'll every time I watch Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder on Cracked, it's always in that playlist, and then I usually just end up letting it run because
they're adding a new cast.
That's After Hours.
Yeah, that's right. You're talking about just Dan O'Brien by himself.
Yeah. And I haven't listened to
I obsessively watched After Hours.
Yes.
And then I rewatched After Hours just recently. So I guess that's when I fall into. But
you saw it's just like they're going to 2 a month.
Yeah.
And they're going to have the alt cast for the other
I don't
one.
want alt cast. I don't like alt cast. Get them out of here.
They had that whole joke at the end of that one where it was like, we're not going away. Nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Like, blah, blah.
I don't
it's
care.
like, who are we saying this to?
Because it just, the way they introed it was not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having the actual cast you wanted to see and clicked for, having them go, we had a conversation, and then walk out.
And walk away.
And then give you a bunch of other people, and the scenario didn't make sense. And I didn't like
I just go back to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I'm like, it's an extra one every month, so...
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll give them a chance, but probably not.
Yeah.
You know, on YouTube, what I get into... yeah, like I'm real shitty about it. On YouTube, I get into 5-second films.
Okay.
Do you remember those? Because you could put a playlist on and watch like all of them in like 2.5 hours because they're 5 seconds long.
Yeah. I'm going to go to my YouTube page and see what's on there.
It's Rage Select videos, Jeff. It's Rage Select. I watch a lot of Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah, I was watching some of that today.
Yeah, I saw it on your thing. That's why. But yeah, I watch a lot of it too. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of stuff that I go back to after all these years, essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I don't like a lot of repeats.
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of reruns. It's really hard for me to watch a show and then rewatch a show. It works for like cartoons for some reason, but not so much live action shows. I used to be obsessed is not the right word, but obsessed with a show called Roswell. Mm-hmm. That was my Twilight. And I tried rewatching it and I couldn't do it. I used to be, this is how into the show I was. It was back in the AOL days, and they'd have like chat rooms where you could role play characters, and it was like live action fan fiction.
Yeah.
And I would spend countless hours playing characters from that show. Specifically one character because she was my favorite. But I also read the books that nobody read. I followed the actors on Instagram except Katherine Heigl because she's Katherine.
You don't like Katherine Heigl.
Don't
like Katherine Heigl. I don't know. A lot of it though comes back down to I'm trying to think of things because it's like seasons for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like every 5 years, I'm into a different bunch of things. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure 5 years from now, I'll just be like, "Oh, The Walking Dead. I finally got into it, and now I watch it all the time," or blah blah blah, or what, or something like that, right? Yeah. 5 years ago, I wasn't really into Transformers the movie and Little Shop of Horrors. That's a thing that happened over the last 5 years, and I was just like, "Yay!"
They're gonna remake Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh well, that was a show.
Who did they cast? Rebel Wilson.
Okay.
Who's the guy?
As Audrey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of the guy. Oh well.
It doesn't matter. I can always go back and watch. I mean, it could be good. It could be bad.
I mean, she's
who knows?
A singer, and I think the other person is a singer too. So it's not like, oh, how dare they? But it was just like, it was the guy that played LeFou in The Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Movie. He was
Didn't
also
watch it. I haven't seen it. It's fine. I actually know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just the actor. Yeah, so I think he's playing Rick Moranis' character. And
okay. Well, with that, I think we're going to leave you. So thanks, everybody, for watching. mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Send me some emails. Send us some emails.
Random questions. Do it.
I'd even be more than willing to get a conversation topic, which I feel is what both these questions are anyway. But anyway, thanks everybody for listening, and have yourselves just a wonderful rest of the evening. Good night.
Breathe, Jeff. Jeff, you gotta breathe in.